What's hiding underneath things can be scary. Underwater, under your bed, especially what's under your carpet. Except when you get new carpet from Carpet One Floor and Home. After tearing up your old carpet, they'll vacuum and apply Health Annex antimicrobial to your subfloor, disinfecting and killing mold, mildew, and any remaining general awfulness. Carpet One Floor and Home goes the extra mile to protect you, your family, and your home. Carpet One Floor and Home in Columbia, making your home beautiful, guaranteed.
Good morning and welcome to Radio Friends on Tuesday, February the 15th, the day after Valentine's Day. I hope you had a good one. My friend over here, LOIS Long. Actually, you kind of fit into Valentine's Day too, Lois, because you're talking about love for people and caregiving is all about loving too.
It is.
And, of course, we have talked about caregivers. We've talked about Alzheimer's. We've talked about dementia with you. What do you want to deal with today specifically?
Well, I'd like to make a link between each of us and our memories and the memories that are involved as persons age with dementia. So I've written a poem entitled Memories that I'd like to share.
Sure.
I have a memory of when I was 8 or 9. I wore my blue and purple dress with shiny patent leather shoes. Who took care of me? Mama, Daddy, my grandparents? I would go with my granddaddy on what he called a lark. With a lunch grandmother had packed, we set out past farms on gravel roads. He knew where each road went, over miles of hills and crossing intersections. I knew, too, in an inner sense, we would find a special place to stop and eat our lunch, above the creek, atop the bluff. He had driven across the creek, over a rattling plank bridge, spun the tires on the rocks to get to the top of the bluff. Always hungry for grandmother's fried chicken, we sat quietly in the car and ate. There was no need to talk, just experience the rocks, the water, the trees, the sky.
That's a true story?
Oh, yes.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's
you know
beautiful.
where the Devil's Backbone is?
Yes.
Across Cedar Creek?
Yeah.
That's where we went.
That's beautiful.
That's
and
the bluff.
Those are wonderful memories.
Exactly.
That are with you from how many years ago, Lois?
Oh, 65 anyway.
Okay. All right. And but what is sad is some people may not be able to pull those sort of memories back up again over the years because of dementia or because
Well,
of
they
Alzheimer's.
don't realize what they are remembering is one way to put it. And I think we all have, year after year, memories that come back to us. I chose childhood because often with people with dementia, they remember years ago, what we call long-term memory, but they can't remember where the bathroom is or something in a house that they've lived in, for years. But it affects how we make decisions. You and I, someone with dementia or a caregiver, and we remember how to be social. Many times folks with dementia can be socially just fine, but then they have someone leave who's been visiting and they ask their caregiver, who was that? We call it covering, but they really can't put it together. And then...
So you're saying they may be acting normal socially with a person.
Correct.
And they don't realize or know who this person is, even though they've known them for years.
They're comfortable. You see, their feeling is comfortable, but they can't recall a name or who it was when the time period is over. This is not unusual. So the other more serious thing we've talked about is driving, and oftentimes they can't find their way home. They set out, just like I did in my poem, to a place, but, if I had dementia, I might not, having been there and remember former times, I might not be able to find my way home.
And that can be frightening.
Exactly.
Very frightening.
And they don't even realize that they're not going home. until they see something familiar, perhaps, or something they think is familiar.
Is that why sometimes people who have dementia or Alzheimer's, they're home and they get up and start going for a walk, and they wander away from home, not realizing they're wandering away from home, and don't know how to get back?
Exactly. So it is a safety issue, and this puts a burden on caregivers. We talk about how people are disoriented as to persons. They don't remember who someone is, a place, they don't realize where they are, and certain things. A story that I remember about my dad, he had a time when he was at home after my mom passed, and as the dementia progressed, he didn't know how to use the stove. And he actually set a plastic mixing bowl on a burner, a unit on top of a stove. Well, I have that bowl, and it still works fine, but it's a reminder of the things that can happen and how dementia can change the reality for someone with dementia and therefore the caregiver. There's a story that is also true about more recent, but I walked into a local bank one day, and I noticed that my teacher from grade school and her husband were standing at the window talking to a teller, and I could tell by the frustration and the actions that things were not understood. And he did not know what they were talking about, and the teller wasn't able to help. And so an aid that I believe is helpful is what's called a companion card. And what the card says
is, please be patient. You gave me one this morning.
Right. My companion has Alzheimer's disease. Now, it may not be Alzheimer's, but the public understands the word Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
And if you slide this across to the teller, then she or he can be more patient in helping the caregiver get the business done. The back just says, we appreciate your patience, and it gives the number for the Alzheimer's Association. This is especially helpful, I think, in restaurants to give a server.
Yes.
So I would suggest I just make them up and cut them out of a sheet of the same thing, and so companion cards are available, and I think they can be very helpful to caregivers.
Okay. If people want more information, what's the number they can call?
The Alzheimer's 24-hour helpline is 1-800-272-3900.
Okay, that's 800-272-3900. You write that down in case you need it. That's a hotline, and they're there 24 hours a day?
You bet.
Okay. Lois Long, thank you so much for coming by. And I say it always, but it's true. You're a pleasure to have on, and I think you are a blessing to this community with the information that you share with us.
Thank you, Paul.
Something you'd like to hear? I'd love to hear from you. Just drop me an email, pepperp@missouri.edu. Bye-bye.